Woohoo! Yeah, Friday night on Zoom. What's up? Really, I applaud our participants for choosing to be here on a Friday night. I mean, Mark is great, but you're staring at a computer for 2 more hours? No, we're so glad. We're so glad everybody's here hanging out for a couple hours on a Friday evening. So, Mark, good to see you. How are
Good
you?
to see you. Good. I'm good. Thank you.
Ready for that weekend?
Yes. Yes, I am.
Me too. Me too. Here, if you live in Oklahoma, I see some faces that live in Oklahoma. The weather is beautiful, and so we're enjoying like a 70-something degree, beautiful sun, light breeze, my kind of weather anyway. So we're saying that to say I'm looking forward to the weekend because the weather's beautiful. I also get to work with a bunch of interpreters all day tomorrow. I'm excited about that. So Mark, welcome. Everybody welcome who's here. I'm so glad you're here, Mark. And I can tell you just have a ton of energy and you're ready to rock.
Oh, yes. We're ready to go.
Yes. Okay, so I think we have everybody on tonight who signed up. Oh, one more coming in. So again, welcome. Thanks for being here. Tonight, first of all, is very casual. You know, this is just a time, hopefully, that you enjoy, you know, learning some things, doing some fun activities, and just enjoying yourself. So hope everybody has a really good time tonight. First of all, I just want to start the night by thanking a few folks. First, I want to thank Mark for presenting this evening. I'm really excited about this. I mentioned in our little teaser video that I've had the pleasure to interpret for several of Mark's courses at TCC, where he teaches full-time. And he'll talk a little bit more about himself here in a minute. But I enjoy his courses very much. And so working when I'm in his classes is like, you know, getting paid for doing something I enjoy. That's totally true. I learn stuff. I'll write down names of people he talks about and I'll go look for them later online. And it's just a lot of interesting stuff that Mark brings to the table. But also he just has this passion to teach that's really vibrant, and he's just a phenomenal guy. So I'm so glad he's here. Thank you, Mark. I want to thank our interpreters, Callista, who's interpreting now, and Dresden, who we'll see in a little bit. I want to thank both of them for being willing to work tonight and interpret and make this workshop accessible. I very much appreciate that. I also need to mention as well, many of you saw on the event description, but this is a charity event. And so all of the proceeds from this event, including Mark's speaking fees, including interpreter fees, everything is going to a nonprofit organization that's based in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And the name of that organization is TSHA. Those who are from Oklahoma, I'm sure know the name. Some of those who are from out of state, you may not. But the organization is fantastic, and it does a lot to support the deaf community all across Oklahoma. And they've been doing this work. I don't actually know how long they've been around, but way longer than I've been here working in Tulsa. They've been supporting the deaf community, just doing everyday, really significant work. And so I'm thrilled to be able to donate proceeds. We raised over $400 with all of you joining this evening. So yeah, awesome. Over $400 that we're gonna all corporately be able to donate to TSHA. And that's again, thanks to Mark's generosity, our interpreter's generosity, and all of you coming tonight. So thank you so much. A couple logistics related to CEUs. Everybody wants to know about the CEUs, right? So there will be a code word to earn CEUs for this workshop. That code word I will type into the chat here in just a few minutes this evening, a little bit later. And that code word, when you go to fill out your CEU form, you'll just put that code word on the form. That way I know that you were here in the workshop. At some point, I will probably take a screenshot of participants as well. But sometimes they like to have both. So that's what we'll do tonight. So just keep an eye on the chat for that code word. I'll make sure to type it up there a few times, but make sure you catch it and write it down when you see it. Shortly after, just a few minutes really after the workshop tonight, you'll receive an email, and that email will have two forms in the email. One will be to request CEUs, and the CEUs approved for tonight are RID, the state of Oklahoma, ICRC CEUs, and BEI CEUs. And there'll be different blanks to fill in depending on what organization you're affiliated with. And then the other form will be an optional evaluation form, and that's just your feedback to me and to RID about how you felt like the workshop went this evening. And of course, I always enjoy feedback. So you'll get an email with those forms. And if you would, just keep your mics off during the evening unless there's something that Mark's guiding us to do that would have the mics on. It just helps with reducing background noise. And please, if at all possible, keep your videos on. I know from experience working with Mark and workshops that I present, I like to see faces, especially in this digital world. At least you get a little bit of that feedback on the screen. So if at all possible, leave your videos on. Of course, if you need to take a break, step away, no problem. And so I think that's all I have. I'm really excited. I just want to go ahead and turn it over to Mark. Mark.
Thank you. Well, guys, thank you so much for having me. This is a great pleasure to do a workshop. And I was telling Josiah that I get to do workshops like last semester, I did like 4 workshops for high schools and businesses and communities. And so I just want to say, first of all, that this is my 8th year teaching at Tulsa Community College. I arrived in 2013. Previously, I was at Coffeyville Community College since 1994. So I was there for 19 years. And if you know where Coffeyville, Kansas is, it's about 75 miles away from Tulsa. And it's an oil refinery town. It's just really tiny. It's got about 8,000 people in it. And I was there as an instructor and director of theater for 19 years. And then before that, I was in Kansas City, Missouri for 2 years at a small community college called Maple Woods Community College. So you're like, this guy really likes the community college system. And I really do, because I was never a university guy. I was never one that to go after a 4-year college, because I really wanted to be one-on-one with my students. And I didn't want to do a big lecture hall, have 500 students and not know all their names. It would have drove me crazy. So I'm one that I really need to know my students' name. They know my office hours are 24/7. So that's really a little bit about me. So today, not to waste any more time talking about me, this is a workshop really that even if you're not an actor, it's really about self, right? It's about self. So you have a couple choices today. You can say, hey, Mark, I really want to try this exercise. Or you can say, you know what, I think I'm just going to watch this one, and that's okay. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with you just watching the exercise, but I would love if everybody at least tried one exercise tonight. And what I have a lot for you tonight is exercise. So what am I going over tonight? I'm going over a lot of things that deal with the self in acting, and also just the self as a person. So things like confidence, expressions. Expression is so important. I'm talking a little bit about the imagination. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about the internal versus the external, which is interesting when it comes to acting. And then I'm just going to throw some different styles of acting at you. Not that you will need to go and know these things for a test, but it's just some very interesting theories about, because I think acting theory really tells us who we are as a person. So with that in mind, I'm going to jump into my workshop and say, I have a first exercise for you all. So if you want to play, you can. My first thing I'm going to talk about is the imagination. So, when I was real little, and I think we were all real little at one time in our lives, it was easy to pretend, to go out to the forest and say, there's a tree, there's a big tree, and there's a monster, and there's a fairy, and there's all these different things. And we were able to pretend, and we were little kids. And then as we got older, we're like, what kind of tree is that? Is it oak, maple? Why am I doing this? You question everything instead of just doing it. So I think sometimes when we get older, we lose our imagination. I always tell my college students, and even I teach a children's summer theater program with ages 5 to 17 during the summer. And these kids are like, I never have to tell them to use their imagination. They see stuff that's not even there. So we're going to do an imagination workshop. We're going to do a little bit of a workshop with imagination. And if you don't have these things, if you go, this thing didn't happen to me during the exercise, it doesn't mean that you don't have an imagination. I don't want you to think, oh my gosh, this didn't happen, I don't have an imagination. No, you do have an imagination. Just some people have really powerful imaginations, and some people are more visual imagination people, and some people are more auditory. You know, they can go into their minds and their feelings and sense that. So let's do one, okay? So I'm going to ask you all to hold out your left hand. Okay, so we're going to hold out our left hand. This is our first exercise of the day. And I'm going to drop a lemon in it. Now, the size of the lemon is up to you. So I'm just going to drop a lemon. So it could be a big lemon. It could be a small lemon. It could be a heavy lemon. It's up to you. You see that lemon. So you got to see the lemon in your hand. So you got the lemon, right? Now, you got the lemon. It's either small, mediums. Mine's kind of a small one. I can kind of pick it up and look at it, put it back down. I've got a small lemon in my hand. And then I'm going to take my right hand. Now, this is kind of dangerous, so be very careful. You're going to pull a sharp knife out of your back pocket. So pull a knife out of your back pocket. Now, be careful. It's sharp. Just be careful. I'm glad you're on Zoom and you're not next to anybody, because this could be really bad. Now, what I want you to do with this knife is I want you to hold your lemon kind of in your palm and just slowly cut that lemon in half, but don't cut too far down because you'll cut your hand. Okay, and then we'll just take our knife and put it down because that thing's too sharp. And then we're going to separate our halves. So you should have 2 halves of your lemon. Okay, we got 2 halves. Okay, and now what I want you to do is the one in the right hand, just put that one away for later. You can put it in your water, or you can put it in the fridge for later. Okay, we've got the one in our left hand. I know a lot of us are righties, but I like using my left because I like to train my brain to use my left hand a lot. Okay, so, and if you're left-handed, great. So go ahead and smell that lemon. Okay, smell. Okay, if there's any seeds in that lemon, you might want to just pick a couple of the seeds out. Sometimes there's seeds in there, you know, just flick them out. That's okay. I think I'm good now. And then on the count of 3, all 3 of us, all of us together, I think there's like 16 or 15 people in here. We're going to take a bite of this lemon. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Bite the lemon. Oh, okay. Okay, now put it down. All right, here we go. Now, if you want to turn your mic on, you can. If you don't, if you just want to do this to me for yes, you can do this if you want to. How many people's mouth watered? Anybody's mouth watered? Okay. Now, if your mouth didn't water, there's nothing wrong with you. There's some people that like my mouth watered tremendously, so what's happening is you're like, what? Okay, why didn't my mouth water, and why did my mouth water? How many people smelled the lemon? Anybody smell the lemon? Could you smell it? Okay. How many people could not smell it, could not taste it, and thought, there's not even a lemon in my hand? Anybody? Anybody get to that point? Because that does happen sometimes. That does happen. Look, there's nothing wrong with you, but let me just say this. There's a thing that we have, and this is always happening to me, sense memory. We have sense memory over things that we have, you know, maybe eaten before, or smelt before, or touched, or taste, those 5 senses that are attacked. And that sense memory is a really big thing that we train actors with. We say, if an 18-year-old is having a really hard time, we'll say, you know, go back into your memory as every time that you had a really sad day, and think about when you were sad, and they'll go back and think about that sad moment, and hopefully they'll become sad. If they had a really happy day, and I said, if you were just laughing so hard you were crying, think about that, and then they'll think about that. So we'll go farther into that later in the workshop, but the one thing you have to realize is, with your imagination, it is powerful, because you have to remember, like in theater, we have to let the audience use their imagination. In movies, we could take you there. They go on location, they go to London, they fly to London, they fly to France, they can get all these costumes, they can get these period costumes. A lot of times we as theater artists have to ask the audience, can you please see this? I know it's not here, but can you use your imagination and see it? And most of the time when the audience shows up, they're locked into that thought of, okay, yeah, I'm going to buy into this. So the lemon exercise is one I always do all the time, because I think it kind of measures where you are with your imagination. And like I said, there's nothing wrong if your mouth didn't water or if you didn't smell it. But if you did smell it and your mouth did water and you did see it, well, then maybe your imagination is much more vibrant and moving more than you thought it was. So that's an interesting thing. The other thing we basically use our imagination for is we teach kids that if they don't have money to have the items that they need for a scene, we have to say, okay, well, here's another exercise you all can do with me. And this is something I'm sure you all have done. And I actually do this exercise, and sometimes it has nothing to do with acting. It has a lot to do with memory, and how we do things, because everybody in this Zoom room probably does this activity all different, and maybe there's a few of us that do it the same, but we try to make sure that we're really communicating to our audience of what we're doing. So we're going to make together, everybody, just as an exercise, a peanut butter sandwich. I know I don't have any bread and I don't have any peanut butter, but we're going to pretend we have it. So the first thing is you're going to need a loaf of bread. So put your loaf of bread there, and then get your peanut butter, put that in front of you. And then of course that knife again, I wouldn't use that sharp knife. Maybe a butter knife might be better. Okay. So what I want you to do is just kind of, and you can go at your own pace. There's no time limit. I'm not judging you. No one's judging you in here. And all I want you to do is take about 2 to 3 minutes, and I want you to make a peanut butter sandwich. And then when we're done, I'm going to have you turn off your mic, turn your mics on, and then we're going to discuss what you felt about that. If you thought it was silly or if you thought you got it down good. So just take 3 or 4 minutes and make yourself a peanut butter sandwich, from untying the bread to getting the bread out to putting the spread on to putting the bread on to make that peanut butter sandwich. Now let's just make it. Okay. Okay. If you want to just respond, you can just turn your mic on. I want to go back to the lemon real quick because I didn't get a chance to get your feedback on that. Was that hard for anybody, or did you enjoy that, or was it kind of weird? Does anybody want to respond to that? What did you guys think of the lemon exercise?
I found it interesting that I started feeling the sourness in the bottom half of my jaw, like in anticipation of the sour.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. Yeah, it just freaks you out because you're like, really? That's not. What else? Anything else before we move on to the peanut butter sandwich?
I didn't experience the dry mouth, but I did experience that woo and the little sparkles that come up into your eyes.
Yes, awesome. Yes.
But I have a granddaughter that is that age to where we're experimenting here, try this, and we watch her expression. So I had just recently experienced watching her do that. So
okay.
That was easy.
I love that. Is that Alyssa? Was that Alyssa that said that?
Charlotte.
Who said that? Charlotte, thank you. Charlotte, thank you. Okay, what did you guys think of the peanut butter sandwich thing? Was that hard? Was it hard? I mean, what did you guys think of that?
I thought it was great, Mark. This is Liz. Thank you so much, because I didn't have a chance to eat dinner, so I'm totally fine. And I really like the crunchy kind of peanut butter. But no, really, it was delicious. It just needs a little bit of jelly because it's still kind of stuck to the roof of my mouth.
I love it. I love that. Okay, what else? Yes, Whitman, is that what your name?
Darlene.
Darlene, I'm sorry. I thought, okay, Darlene.
I don't know how to get my first name there, but there you go. I couldn't smell the lemon, but I could smell the peanut butter.
Good.
And I couldn't smell the jelly, but there was definitely a substance difference between the peanut butter and putting the jelly on. But what I couldn't figure out was how you actually take the bread up and put it over on top, because you've got the 2 layers of bread. And I just sat there looking at, how do I pick up the bread and just magically get it on top of it? That was the activity that caused the most strain for me. It was like, what?
Well, those are great. Anybody else? That's great. I love that. I love hearing about what you guys like went through with it, because to me, those are some of the same things I go through. So we're in the same boat. Anybody else? Well, listen, I just want to say, at the Tisch School of in New York, the Tisch School of Arts in New York, they have a whole semester of acting students making things in space and grading them and how they do it. So I usually do this in my acting class. I actually bring a loaf of bread, a jar of peanut butter, and a knife at one table, and on the other table, I have absolutely nothing. So I make them make the peanut butter and jelly sandwich first in real life, right? And they get to keep that, of course. And then they go over to the table, and then they have to continue do the same exercise and make it. Now it's really interesting because everybody makes a peanut butter sandwich differently, and it's amazing when people go, well, even if you make it a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, some people put the jelly on first and the peanut butter on second, or the peanut butter on first and the jelly on second. And it's amazing how many people go, well, that's not the right way to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. That's not the right way, because everyone's got their own way. It's like some people put 2 shoes on, put their socks on together, but there's also people that put a shoe and a sock and a sock and a shoe on. Put their socks on first and their shoes, and then a sock and a shoe and a sock and a shoe. So it all depends on who you are. How we make coffee, coffee's different. How people make coffee is very different. How you make coffee, that I make coffee. But I just want to say why the imagination is so important. I don't know if I'm getting feedback or something. I'm not hearing something. But there is something that's said about the imagination, because what the imagination does is it really makes you think about what you've done before. And I'm gonna do one more imagination thing when we're done with it, okay? The last one is, I don't know if you have a cup around, a cup. If you have a cup or, some type of container for water is fine. Even if you have a water bottle, I know that no one instructed you to bring props, right? But if you have something that you're drinking, you can just use that. So what I want you to do with your imagination is, now, I want you to drink your drink, but I want you to pretend it's super, super hot. Okay. And I want you to take a drink that this drink is super, super hot. And I just want to take you a minute, and I want you to take a drink of it, but it's super, super hot. So just take your cup and just pretend it's hot. Okay. And you're just going to slowly take a drink of it. I'm kind of nervous here. Don't want to burn my lips. This is ice water, by the way. Yeah. Okay. Did you believe it was hot? Okay. Okay, so your homework is, when you leave me tonight, I want you to continue doing these things, as far as, like, if you have children, or even if they're older, say, I'm going to make you a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but I'm not really. And then show them what you're doing, because I think they'll get a really big kick out. And then give them the lemon exercise. All these things you can do to friends and family when you're at a party, and say, hey guys, we're going to all make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. We're all going to do the lemon exercise. And so it's just really good to kind of see who you are as a person, because everybody is different. That's what we love about the world, is everyone's different. Everyone has different things. Okay. So really, that's my section on imagination. I would go on, if I was to continue on, I would do, different activities, as far as, like, brushing my teeth is an activity, filing my nails. You could come up with 10 different activities. In an acting class, we usually do all these activities. if it was like a movement class that we were trying to do different things, but we really want to attack your imagination with that. So I'm going to move on to the next thing. And I want to talk about confidence. And confidence is another thing that we have on our list for happy faces. And I think confidence is tough for a lot of us. Yes.
Mark, I'm sorry to interrupt. Before you move on to confidence, can I ask a question about those exercises you just did?
Yes. Yes.
So one thing that I think is helpful, I just wanted to throw this out there for everybody, is when you're talking about doing these activities, I think it's a good practice for visualization.
Yes.
And
Yes.
visualization is a really important tool for interpreters.
Yeah.
Interpreters are often interpreting something that they have themselves not experienced or seen. And so when we talk about interpreting, really highly effective interpretation that has kind of all the feel of the original message, we talk about, how can you make it so real, almost as if you experienced it yourself, So with interpreting, I think the ability to visualize is really important, especially with descriptive scenes or using space and things like that. So I just wanted to make that connection, Mark, because that's something you probably
I love that.
familiar with about interpreting, but it really pairs nicely with the work of interpreting. So I just wanted to say I appreciated that.
Josiah, I love that because I think that, I always tell my actors that, and even people that aren't actors, that I just like to do those daily activities of recreating something just to see, just to kind of see what is different. And what I learned so much about myself, I guess, from doing an activity different from somebody else. Like if Josiah and I were doing something, it'd be amazing how much I would say, Josiah, do you really make coffee like that? Because I make coffee like this.
Right.
And then I start questioning myself, going, maybe I make coffee wrong. Maybe I've been making coffee wrong for 40 years. But you know what I'm saying. But I love what you said, though, Josiah. Thank you. And please come in when you need to say something, because you always have something great to say. I wanted to move to confidence. And I don't know if I have an exercise for this, but I think this is important for all of us to know, because I struggle with confidence, even though I've been doing theater for over 30 years. There's some days I wake up in the morning, I don't really have good confidence. And so I went to this workshop about confidence, not only as an actor, but as a teacher. And a lot of you are teachers, and a lot of you are people that help other people. And some days we're so confident with our talents that we wake up, sometimes we question why we're doing what we're doing, right? And so, why am I doing this, and what's the importance of it? And then you have to kind of go back to why you're doing this. And for me, I get up every day and I always say I never want to go to work. I just want to enjoy my life. And I've never worked a day in my life because I love my job, right? So but there are days where we lack confidence in ourselves. And so I went to this workshop, and I just want to share for 10 minutes some of the things that this great workshop provider gave me when I do have those days where, and maybe you can write these down and share them with your students or people that are struggling, because we do struggle. Mental health is a real thing, and we don't always have 365 days of greatness, right? We do have those days where we're down, and we do beat ourselves up, and we do question why we're doing what we're doing. So this workshop really helped me out. I hope it helps you out. And I usually share this with every workshop that I do, even if it has nothing to do with acting. Any workshop that I do, I share these 5 different words of wisdom about confidence. So if you're ever lacking confidence in yourself, I always say the number one thing to do, and this is the number 1 out of 5, is to listen to your inner voice. So a lot of times we're in a Zoom meeting like this, and if I say, what did you guys think of this? What did you guys think of the lemon? And you're like, oh, I don't want to say anything because I don't want to sound stupid. And like, I don't want to, feel like my idea is not important. And really you need to trust your inner voice, that anything that you think of that you need to say about anything, don't ever think that that's a bad thing. Have faith in what you say. Your perspective and insights are valuable and never should be taken lightly. And that goes for yourself too. If you say, oh, I don't know if I should say something, never be afraid to trust that inner voice and saying, well, I want to say this, but I don't know if I should. You really should. And there are no stupid questions. There's no stupid answers. There's no you just have to have faith in that inner voice. And I sometimes struggle with my inner voice as an actor and a director, but I realize that I have faith and I build my confidence through what I say. And I don't take it as a punishment for myself if something comes out wrong. Um, don't worry about it. Explore it with others. Refine it into something that does work. Your confidence will build, and have faith with what you say. So that's number one. Number one is listen to your inner voice. The second one is don't judge yourself. Um, I think we sometimes judge ourselves every day, and critique and analyzing yourself is okay. But if you're too critical on yourself about something that you're doing, if you're an ASL teacher, if you're ASL interpreter, if you're teaching something else, you're a parent, or don't be so rough on yourself, because being too critical with yourself could be harmful. Failure and mistakes are okay. You learn from them, and sometimes you have to fail to succeed, and that's okay. um and sometimes if you say, well, I do need to critique myself, Mark. Well, then don't criticize yourself. Take the critique and grow and jump up in knowledge, and knowledge is power. But don't ever put yourself down. Be kind to yourself, especially if you're down on yourself. That's the worst thing you can do. So don't judge yourself, love who you are, love what you're doing, and never beat yourself up if you can help it. And just think of that as everybody's learning. I'm 50. I'll be 54 May 3rd. I'll be 54 years old May 3rd. And I told my wife the other day, it's amazing that every day I live on this earth, I learned something new. And then I wish I would have known this when I was 18. If I could go back to my 18-year-old self and say, man, what I know now, I wish I could go back in time and tell myself. But that's just the way the world works, is that we get older and we learn so much. So that's number two. Number three is jump right in. Put your hand up and get involved with whatever you do. Don't watch. Do be involved, or fear will grow. And if you don't jump in, dive right in, and will make you feel comfortable. Lack of confidence is caused by fear and what people might think of you. And you can't worry about what you can't control. I tell my wife that all the time. You can't worry about what you can't control. So go on in and jump right in and be involved. It will boost your confidence. So put your hands up, be involved. And that means be involved in your life. I'm not talking about this workshop right now. Be involved with the people you love, be involved with your family, be involved with your work, be involved with your religion, be involved with whatever you love to do, be involved. And don't fear to jump in and be part of it. Number four, play games. Today we kind of are playing a couple of games, which I love. It allows you to connect with people and lose your inhibitions. Let's have fun. It's good to play. Like, this Zoom is so great because we're in a group together. We're kind of a great ensemble. And so when you're not by yourself, you don't feel like you're being singled out. So I love playing games in my classes. I love playing games in my workshop. I love playing exercises. So we all feel comfortable and we're not. And then the last one is switch your awareness. Change your perspective that everyone might be judging you. No one's judging you. You think people might be thinking the worst of you or negative things. Change your focus from yourself to you and and not on how people perceive you. No self-doubting or how you're doing or how you look. Just focus on yourself and love who you are. And that's a big thing. If you leave with anything today, I would say this is what my 99-year-old mentor, who was Sister Marie-Leon LaCroix. I went to a Catholic college at Viterbo University, and she was my mentor. She died at age 99. And she always would say this to me when she called me, even after I had her when I was in college in 85. And I think she was in her 70s then. And then she just recently passed. But every time we talked on the phone, she said, Mark, you are the message. You are the message. And she would always say that to me. That's how she ended her phone calls. You are the message. And she really did great for my confidence. I thought, I am the message. I'm the message of my own life. I'm the message of my own choices. And so I know a lot of you already know this stuff, but I think it's good to know I share this with my students. I share these 5 things with my students because I think some students, they need to hear this. They need to hear that it's not good to beat yourself up. It's good to know that people love you. It's good to know that you don't have to be alone. So even with acting, when I cast a cast of actors together, I tell them these 5 things because I don't want them to feel like, oh, I've been cast and now I messed up on this line. I'm going to beat myself up, or everyone's looking at me, or I can't tell Mark what my idea is, or I don't. So it kind of goes with through life that way. So I hope those are some things that we can use, but confidence is a tough one. It really is. And like I said, I wake up every day and some days I'm not confident. But some days I have to think about these 5 things and not beat myself up, and love what I do. So I don't know. Anything you want to add to that, Josiah, or anybody else?
Just a great message. I love it, Mark. I put my heart reaction in my screen.
Yeah, I just think it's good to, I mean, even if you know that already, and I'm sure a lot of you know those 5 wonderful things, but I share it with students because students don't know and coworkers don't know and some people don't know. And I think it's just a good message, and it's a good message for a lesson for acting. Okay.
Hey, Mark,
I'm
this
going to
is
go ahead and move
Amy
on just
really
because.
quick.
Yes,
Do you
please.
mind if I add
Yes,
something
Amy.
really quickly?
Yes, please. Yes.
As I have several students and former students of mine on here, and I'm messaging them saying, "Are you listening? Are you paying attention? Did you hear that? He's talking to you." But we were talking about we need to think about ourselves, but as interpreters, we also need to get away from what people are thinking about us and think about our
Yes.
product and what our product, worry about that. Don't worry about, oh, I'm making this strange face or I have to act like a monkey, whatever. But think about, is that coming across appropriately to our clients? So we
Yeah.
need to take their focus really off of us
Yes.
and put our focus on the message and not let what other people may think affect the message to our clients.
Amy, I love that. And I think that says so much right there. It really does. I can tell you as just a real quick short story. As the theater director for 30 years, there have been some students that, you can't reach everyone, and some people will just not like you because you didn't cast them, or they weren't in the show, or they weren't the lead. And a theater program director is one of the loneliest jobs in the world because, unfortunately, students end up not liking you because they are not cast in shows. And even though you try to get them involved some other way, they hold animosity towards you, even though they're not ready for the stage yet. And even though you tell them, look, I love you to death, I think you're awesome, but you're just not ready for that yet. And so, I think sometimes we think, oh my gosh, um, do people dislike me? Do people not like me? Are people thinking things about me? And um, I just have to love what I do and love what I'm doing and do the best I can for students and not worry about if I worried about what everyone thought about me, I'd have to quit tomorrow. And I just don't think about those things unless it's detrimental to the student and they're really struggling. Then I'll meet with them, and that only happens like 2% of the time. But Amy, I do think that it is hard. Interpreter, I think it would be hard to be there for the whole show, and like during one of the shows this year's, one of the adjudicators said I started watching the interpreter more than the show, but it was a compliment because they said the interpreter was so interesting and it was so awesome to watch them interpret the show that I was watching the interpreter and I almost was in sync about what was going on, which is a great compliment. So yeah, maybe people are thinking the opposite, but you know, it is a major accomplishment to do what Dresden's doing. It's not easy. And you do have to have confidence in doing that, because I would think that if you don't, you couldn't be as expressive as Dresden is right now. He's expressive, and he's free flowing, and he's not worrying about what anybody's in this room's thinking about him. That's what makes him free. And that's what makes him really good. I don't know.
That's so good, Mark, which at the end, that's what makes him free. I love that idea, that concept, because as interpreters, from my personal experience, it's so easy to feel very kind of the opposite of free, like, very much constrained, like, well, here's my role, here's what I do, here's what I don't do, here's the people I'm working for, this and this and this and this.
Yes.
And so it's hard, I think, for interpreters to get kind of break free from all of those, and then just like do what you do. It sounds so simple, but
Right.
Mark, tell me about that idea with acting, right? Because like if an actor if the actor lets something get in his or her head, like what if the audience doesn't like it, or what if they love it, or what if they let that get in their head? How does that affect the ability to do your best performance?
It happens all the time, Josiah. Like, I think that's the hardest thing that me and Aaron have to teach at the community college, because like if we do a comedy and we have 5 actors on stage and nobody laughs, they're smiling really big, but the actors don't look into the audience, right? But they don't hear any chuckle. They don't hear any laughter. They'll come backstage during intermission going, oh, they hate us. And oh my God, they hate us so much. They're not even laughing. And this show sucks. And you suck. And I suck. And we all suck. And they're having a meltdown. They're having a major meltdown. We have a 10-minute intermission, and they're having a major meltdown down backstage because they're not getting anything. And I have to go backstage and I have to say, guys, they love you. They're just smiling. Not everybody in the movie theaters laugh really hard. In fact, some people laugh when other people laugh. Like if someone laughs, they go, oh, it's okay to laugh. They laugh because other people are laughing. Some people don't laugh. They're afraid to. And I say, they're smiling real big. And of course, they don't trust me. They're like, no, you don't know what you're talking about. And then they end the show, and guess what happens, Josiah? They get a standing ovation. A standing ovation. And I said, now, guys, what did you think they stood for? And so it is hard to tell, well, not just young actors, all actors, that they have to get out of their head. And they can't worry about someone, not liking them. I mean, and failing on stage, like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to know my lines, I'm not going to know my cue lines, I'm not going to know my blocking, oh my gosh. And I've had many students freak out right before opening, before they go on, and they're crying and they're freaking out, and I have to just, and not to be weird, but I just grab them and I hug them and I go, listen to me, I want you to listen to me very carefully. You're good, you're prepared, you know what you're doing, you go out there and do this.
That's so good.
And then they let go of my hug, and then they go out there and do it. But
Mark, do you have any, sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, please, anytime.
Do you have any exercises to help with that being in your head too much? Because when you said listen to your inner voice, my first reaction was, well, she's not very nice sometimes, and I don't want to listen to her. How can I change it so that my inner voice is more of a critique instead of a criticism? Are there exercises that you can do?
It's funny. Who's talking? What's your name? What's your name?
I'm Jessica Cook.
Jessica. Hi, Jessica. I didn't want to talk. I don't know. I can't see all of you, so I just wanted to see who I was talking to. Jessica. Yes, there are exercises. In fact, we call them acting mantras. And even in life, you can get rid of the acting, call them mantras. And I believe in Zen, and I believe in meditation, and I believe in mantras. In fact, we'll get into in the second hour some theories of acting, but I do think if you ever have that moment of self-doubt, again, these are exercises that you can do, and if you don't trust them, you can try something else. But there's 3 of them, and I don't have them on my list to do today because I think we're on Zoom, it'd be really hard. But I would have you lay on the ground and just find a space by yourself, lay on the ground and focus on your breathing, and think of nothing else in your head but your breath, and just breathe in and breathe out, and do that for 5 or 10 minutes. And that's a really good relaxation Strasbourg exercise to get rid of all the tension and have the tension melt into the floor, and try to remove all your tension, all your anguish, all your anxiety, all of your fear, all your sadness, all your emotion, and try to let it go by just focusing on your breath. Breathe in and breathe out. And you can do it in a chair. If we were sitting here, we could do that in a chair, where we could just basically take everything out of our day. Before rehearsal, I have all the kids sit in a chair, and I said, let's take 5 or 10 minutes to focus on our breathing and get rid of the day, because we have a lot of kids that come in from work and they're really mad. And I said, I can't rehearse with you being upset. You got to let today go, because you can't find your character still being at Walmart. So we have to get rid of Walmart, right? So we have to sit in a chair. And then, so that's an exercise I use a lot. I have actors do it right before they go on. I said, breathe, breathe, breathe. I mean, I think they should be a shirt, a t-shirt that says acting, and on the back of it, it should say breathe, because we don't breathe a lot in life. We breathe, we have so much tension in our jaws and our head, and we have the day anxieties and the day troubles, that we just need to take that moment of Lee Strasberg, and he's absolutely right, and just clear our mind and be focused on our breath for 5 minutes. Just that, if you go, I can't do that, for 5 minutes, or even do it for 2 to start off with, because you go, I'm trying to do it, Mark, but things keep popping into my head. That's okay. It's kind of like meditation. First time you meditate, you'll fall asleep. But the second time you meditate, maybe you won't. Maybe you'll get there slowly. And then the third time you meditate, you're like, wow, I just meditated for 30 minutes and I felt like I was laying down for 2. And that's kind of how meditation works. So we tell a lot of our actors to learn to meditate, to go home and find 30 minutes in the day and lay on the bed or sit in a chair and just meditate. And that's just closing your eyes. And then mantras. I don't know if anybody does mantras, but there used to be that character on Saturday Night Live. I can't remember his name. He said, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and gosh darn it, people like me. He became a US senator. Yeah. He became a US senator, I believe. But Jack Smiley, I think was his name, or something like that. And I always tell my actors, I said, and this is a life one. I give my wife mantras. I do mantras. My daughter does mantras, but mantras are something that you just get into your head and you say, you know what? For everything that you do in the day, give yourself a victory. Say, you got the laundry done, and you say, I got the laundry done. I got the laundry done. Gosh darn it, I did good today. I got the laundry done. I did good today. I got the laundry done. Now, you might be looking at me going, what in the heck is he talking about? I got the laundry done. But we don't take in our victories in life, even the small ones. And if we did, you would feel much better about yourself. So if you sat there, if I told an actor to sit there and I said, list all your victories from the day, from the smallest, benign little ones to the biggest, what are your victories? And my victory is, my victory is I got up on time. Hey, I got up on time. I got up on time. I did good. I got up on time. Hey, I ate good for breakfast. I had a good breakfast. I had a good cup of coffee. You need to celebrate the small stuff. We celebrate too much after we're gone. We celebrate when we're dead, right? Everyone has a funeral and we celebrate that life. You need to celebrate your life when you're alive. You need to celebrate your day when you're alive. You need to celebrate the small things in life. And I think when you say, how do you get out of your head like that, so you don't have that, is you have to give yourself a victory. So let's say you're beating yourself up and you're like, oh my gosh, I just messed this up. I'm interpreting the wrong word, and I didn't interpret the right word, and I'm
That never happens to anybody, Mark.
Yeah, what you have to say, because
all interpreters every day.
Yeah. Well, and what I was thinking, Josiah and everybody, is that what I was thinking about, and nobody ever thinks about this, Amy, and I think Amy's with me all the time, mostly with Josiah and other people, when you interpret, is there's not a lot of clapping and, hey, interpreters, hey. It's kind of like a thankless job at times where you think, did anybody even notice I was there busting my butt doing not now I'm going overboard, okay? I'm not saying that you say this, but I think this as a theater director going, did anybody notice the hard work that this person is doing over here? And it's amazing. And I always tell Aaron, I said, make sure that you thank the interpreters at the end or give them something at the end, because if you don't, I'll throw something at you through Zoom.
I have to say, Mark, you have been so good. So I've interpreted for many performances that Mark has directed. And just so everybody on the call knows who doesn't know Mark, Mark is fantastic about recognizing the interpreters, which, just to tag on to Mark's point, it's not about like, oh, look at me, I'm so
Yeah,
amazing.
right.
I'm an interpreter. But we do put, if anybody does theater interpreting, we put countless hours into preparing and performing that interpretation. And so just a simple, same thing the cast is doing, where it's like, thank you very much, quick thing, it makes all the difference in the world. So I want to say, Mark, thank you for that. And you're absolutely right. Oftentimes interpreting is a thankless job. Again, not all about the interpreter,
Right.
but when we are recognized, it just goes a long way. So.
And I do want to share this with you if I can, and I don't want to make Amy or Josiah mad at me, but I do think that they were recognized last semester, and this has never happened ever in my time in 30 years doing theater. I have never had ASL be recognized by. So we enter our shows into what's called the Kennedy Center. You guys know Kennedy Center. They do the Kennedy Center honors. They honor an actress or a singer or a songwriter or somebody every year, and the president honors them. And then they usually do that singer's song, or they honor that actor or comedian. Well, there's the Kennedy Center American College Theater Festival. And if you remember the Beverly Hillbillies, I don't know, that was a long time ago, but Granny on there, Irene Ryan, who was Granny, was actually a Broadway actress. She was fantastic. She was a famous Broadway actress. She was so good. And she fell into this television role and she made extra money. Well, when she died, she gave her whole estate to this college thing called the American College Theater Festival, which was millions upon millions of dollars when she died. And this KCACTF, what it's called, separated into 8 different regions around the United States. And in each region, there's about 4 or 5 states in each region. And what they do is colleges come to watch other college productions, and they will adjudicate the production and then pick what's called the Irene Ryan or the Granny nominations and pick the best actors in the show or best technicians. And then those people go to the national festival and they compete for scholarship money. Okay. So that's what KCACTF. So we did a show called The Humans last semester, and we had adjudicators come watch it. And it was amazing because when we left the adjudication, one of the adjudicators, I think her name was Samantha, said, "Oh my God, I was blown away by your ASL. Do they always do that? Are they always on screen doing that?" And I said, yes, we've had them for even when we do shows in the theater. I don't know. I think it's been going on. I've been here for 8 years. I think at least 6 or 7. I don't know when I first got here, they were there, but I think about 2 years after I started, we had ASL, but I could be wrong about that. But anyway, they were like, that was the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life. And they said, we would love to give the ASL interpreters a merit award for the American College Theater Festival. And a merit award is something that hardly anybody ever gets. It's like a huge recognition of achievement. And I was like, I actually started crying, sorry. Because I thought that was well-deserved. And I thanked them. I was like, you have no idea what that's going to mean to them. Because I thought nobody recognizes them. So sorry. I got really emotional, and I do think it's incredible that you guys got that, because I can't tell you there's great theater people in the world that have never gotten a merit award. And so that means that those 2 adjudicators thought so much of you guys doing that they gave you that award. That is like, that is like not heard of. Like, I think some people would be so blown away by that. So when I get those awards, I'm going to give them to you. And I do think I want Dr. Goodson to give them to you. Because I think Dr. Goodson should know that the ASL program is just not something that's just there. It's providing much more than what it's meant to provide. And that's the truth.
Thank you so
So-
much for that, Mark. It's
Yeah, I just wanted to share that because it was blown away by that. Yeah. Anyway, back to the workshop. Sorry about that. Sorry, I got a little. Yeah, theater people get really emotional. As I get older, I get emotional. I watched that the AASP pet thing, and I just cry like a baby when I watch them killing those pets. I'm like, oh my God, turn this off. I can't do this anymore. So I think when you get older, you just get really emotional in there. So anyway, back to what we were saying about the whole thing about performance. The mantras is what I would do. Someone asked me a question, well, what do you do? I think mantras. Give yourself a mantra for victory, and tell yourself that you did good and that you're doing amazing. And if there's nothing wrong with you telling yourself that you're doing great and you did amazing, and I would do mantras, and I would do relaxation exercises. I would relax and I would sit in a chair and I would breathe and I would. Does that help? I don't know. Jessica, was that you who asked that question?
Yes, that helps a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's, and I'm with you. I hear that all the time. I get self-doubt on that. Okay, let me see where I'm at with my time. I got 1 hour here, so let me go to. Okay, so let's talk about the self. And I was going to talk a little bit tonight, about three things, and that is sometimes we think about ourselves working, and I think with you guys interpreting, I think this might help you a little bit with understanding who you are. So we always tell actors when they're like, who am I, and how do I define who I am? Well, the first thing you would do, and this is kind of like cognitive recognition of yourself. So think about yourself in motion when you move in life. And this is going to sound really crazy when I tell you this, but you're going to hopefully think about it. What do you lead with in life? What do you lead with when you walk around life? What do you lead with? Like, I lead with my forehead. Like, and you go, I don't know, I'm trying to think. You might have to get up and walk around the room and see what you lead with. Some people lead with their shoulders. Some people lead with their head. Some people lead with their feet. Some people lead with their knees. And why is it important for you to know what you lead with? Well, because that's telling you who you are, right? So I'm a very head person. I think a lot, and I'm always in thought, and I'm always in quick thinking. So I think, so what we call this is your center. Your center is very important. Your center is what you lead with, okay? So now I'm going to get even deeper with this. You have a external center, which leads. So after this workshop, if you will do this, or tomorrow when you have time, just walk around. And if you can't figure out what your center is, have your husband or your daughter or your son watch you walk and say, what do I lead with? And don't think about it, just walk. And they go, oh, I think you lead with your shoulders. Oh, I think we lead with your legs. Oh, I think you lead with your head. And then what we lead with inside of us, like what's your center inside of you? So my center inside of me is my heart. I always lead with my heart first, my brain second. You might lead with emotions. You might lead with thought. You might lead with, so we have an internal and an external. Your external center is what you lead with on the outside. Your internal is how you are as a person on the inside. And it's always good to know those things, not even as an actor, but as a person, because if you're trying to, kind of identify yourself, we don't look at ourselves a lot. We look at others. It kind of identifies yourself. Then we think about, like, I'm watching Callista do interpretation, and right now Callista's interpretation is she is doing, I would say, percussive movement with medium energy. So we kind of define our energy. So some of us have slow energy, some of us have medium energy, and some of us have fast energy. And I've seen interpreters have fast energy. I've seen them have slow energy. But your energy is what drives you, right? And then the way you are as you're moving is your 4 different things. You're either percussive, you know what percussive is, it's the drum beat. Ba-bum, ba-bum, bum, 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 bum. You're sustained, there's nothing coming from you at all. There's suspend collapse, which means you're kind of doing this a little bit. You're going up and down, suspending collapse. There's vibratory, where you're just kind of moving, vibrating as you're moving. Okay, so vibrating, beat, suspend collapse, sustained, slow, medium, fast energy. So I'm telling you this as life now, but as actors, I always tell them when they're trying to find a character to change the energy that they have. So if they have a fast energy that they move at, and they're very fast students, and they have a suspend collapse energy, I tell them, change that to a different character, and maybe your character now is slow and sustained. And they're very slow and sustained, okay? So think about that. Just take 2 minutes for a second and think about the 3 things. What is your center? What is your internal center? What is your energy, fast, medium, slow? Are you percussive, sustained, suspend, collapse, or vibratory in your movements? Or are you combo? You can be a combo. And are you are you like fast and slow energy? So center, internal center, energy, and your tempo rhythm. So just take a couple minutes to think about it. You may not know. You might have to get up and move around. You might have to get up tomorrow and just be walking around and going, oh, I wish I could call Mark now. I'm a slow energy, I'm vibratory, and I think I lead with my chest, or I lead with my shoulders, or I lead with my knees. And because you don't think about how you move. You know, I go to Walmart all the time and study people, not to be a creeper. I'm not a creeper. But I go to Walmart and I go, oh, that's interesting. That guy leads with his feet. His feet lead him. He's walking with his feet first. And I've never seen that before. I'm like, wow, he's got a slow energy, leading with his feet, and he's so sustained. Not a care in the world. And so I study, acting is the study of people. And you have to know yourself first. I know that I lead with my head. I know I have fast energy, and I am all 4 tempo rhythms. I'm vibratory, suspend, collapse, sustained, and percussive. So anybody want to give me what they think they are? Any volunteers, any brave souls?
Can you just clarify sustained one more time? Because I thought I heard you say nothing,
Yeah,
but
that's
or
great.
is it more mellow?
Sustained is like, there's not much coming from you at all. Sustained is just nothing happened there. Sustained is like mellow yellow. You're just chill to the max. Like even if you were to move a little bit, I'd say, oh, sustained vibratory, but there's nothing happening at all. Like you go someplace and someone goes, is that person alive? You want to poke
Right.
them?
That's what I mean. So is it's like a fine line between sort of a negative connotation and chill.
Yeah, I would say, yeah. I mean, I always say that I never want to say, if you're sustained, there's nothing wrong with that. That's just who you are. Because some people, like, that's who they are. But I've seen, like, I had coffee with a guy and he was like, hey, Mark, how's it going? Pretty good. Okay, yeah. I'll take a latte. Yeah. Okay. It's anyway. So I was going down the store yesterday and I was like, I'm like, my God, this guy's vibratory he's just so vibratory. And I was like trying to talk to him and he was moving so much. And I was like, his energy is so fast, vibratory. And he was leading with his nose. He was like in my face, like leading with his nose. And I was like, oh my God, his nose was almost touching my nose. And you could define so many people. And there's a reason why he's like that. And he's like that because he is so intense. He's just, I said, why are you so energetic? Why are you so, he's like, oh, I just have so many ideas. I'm going to build a building tomorrow and it's going to be like 15 feet tall and it's going to be made of steel. I'm like, okay, great. And he's just an idea guy. So anyway, Lisa, I hope was that Lisa that said that?
I'm Lisa. Yeah. Hi, I'm Lisa. I'm in Phoenix. I have a question. So from an interpreting standpoint, So I'm an interpreter, but I'm also here with a colleague, and she and I are training to be voice actors. So we're
Oh.
talking a lot about character development, right? How to
Yes.
develop those characters. And I love this piece because we can really say, oh, I want this person to lead with their nose or be very vibratory or whatever. But from an ASL interpreting standpoint, it's interesting because, like, every one of us, or we've all seen someone who's interpreting and they're so strongly rooted in their personality, and their personality is great, awesome, nothing wrong with it, but it has nothing to do with what is being said. Like, I have a colleague who is fantastic coda language, really great interpreter, but she grew up doing musical theater and her personality is really big. And so everything she interprets looks like musical theater. And I think, oh, this is the tool. This is the tool right here that you can use to, like, help people see that whatever those things are that you're doing right there in musical theater does not fit in that space.
Yes.
Right? I think that's brilliant. I really love this piece.
That, Lisa, that is so well said. And I will just say that if you love this stuff, all this stuff about center and internal center and tempo rhythms and energies, are all part of acting, an acting theorist named, and I'm sure you guys have heard this if you're into theater, Stanislavski method, and he came up with all the center and movement stuff for actors. And I was telling you about Lee Strasberg stuff that we were doing earlier, but this Stanislavski stuff is great because it does make you create a character. You do change your energy and your center. And then he went farther and he said, okay, now this is crazy, Lisa and everybody else. He said, now, if you were an animal in the animal kingdom, if you had to like snap your fingers and turn into an animal. Now, when you think of an animal, how do you move? How do you act? What animal would you be externally? Anybody want to just throw an animal out that you think you are? I know that's crazy, right? You probably never thought of that. Like, Mark's talking about animals now. He wants me to be an animal. I remember going to grad school, and my first day of grad school, our movement teacher said, I want you all to become animals that you think you are in life. And then he turned off the lights, and it was dark, and he turned on some blue funky lights. And he said, now crawl around like your animals. That was the first day of class. And I was like, I need to get the hell out of here. I need to check out now. I need to get out of grad school and just go work, because this is some
Hey, Mark.
funky stuff.
This
Yeah.
is Amy. Some of you guys can tell me if I'm accurate or not, but I think I'm a lion.
Oh,
I think I
can
am
see
king of the
that.
jungle.
Yeah. Yes.
And I'm loud and big,
Yes.
and so yeah. And it's
Okay.
really hard. I was just chatting with Jessica, and I said, you know, that's one of the hardest things, because I do sign, like Lisa was saying. I have theatrical background, but I have a big personality. So my signs are big. My sign space is big. My use of space is big. But when I'm interpreting for somebody that's super boring, I have to work extremely hard to bring it in, to lessen my facial expression, it's a physical effort for me to make those adjustments to match. So just throwing that out there.
Well, and what I love what you did was, Amy, that you thought about the qualities of your world, of who you are as a person, and then you compared those to the qualities of a lion, and you're right on, spot on. And that's what you need to do. You need to write down your qualities and go, now what animal has all these? And you have to be honest with yourself, right? You have to write down all your qualities and say, I move like this, I act like this, I'm loud like this, I'm quiet like this. And then you go, oh, I think I'm this animal. Now, if you want to go farther and you go, okay, I know what I am on the external, what other people see, but what animal am I on the inside? Like, you could be a lion, Amy, on the outside, but a mouse on the inside. Like, you're just, because we can't hear what you think. We don't know what you know that you're thinking or knowing, but some people are really reserved internally, right? And so an acting exercise I tell my actors to do, I always tell them, every character that you play, you have to give me an animal externally, and you have to give me an internal animal. And then we have a rehearsal. I know this sounds really just crazy, right? I said, well, you're going to do the rehearsal as your animal. You're going to move around the stage as the animal and do your lines as that animal. And then when I say switch, you're going to turn into your internal animal, and you're going to do the internal animal. And what it makes them realize is that what they're missing out of the character, what movements they're missing, what qualities they're missing, that they're too much like themselves and they need to be more like the animal that they're playing. So
Mark,
it's a good, yeah.
this is Stephanie.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, because I, as a person, match whoever I'm with. So if I'm with somebody that's like excited and happy and they're perky about everything, then I'm going to match that. But if I'm with somebody that's having a bad day and they're just down about life, then I'm going to match that. But when I interpret, I am like Amy, and I interpret big and me, and then I have to remember and like force myself, okay, this person is boring, and anybody has the right to be bored. Like, I'm not going to make this exciting for you just because I'm a happy person all the freaking time. I'm sorry. So it's interesting to think of having to switch how I as a person do one thing and I can make myself match, but interpreting it so much harder. It's very interesting to think about that.
I'm so glad you said that, Stephanie, because we do change. Like, we do change around people, like different animals or different energies, temper. Our center changes based on our mood. Like, if you're a person that's like gets up and you're like, I'm walking with my head forward, but then somebody, maybe a tragedy happened, and all of a sudden you're leading with your knees because your day just changed. But I love what you said, Stephanie, because your energies, your animals, your tempo rhythms, your centers, your internal, they all can change based on who you're with, the day that you're having, the emotions. That's excellently said. I'm so glad you said that, because I forgot that, you know, it's not just constant, it's forever changing. So here's another assignment for you. Figure out your animal on the outside, figure out your animal on the inside. And I would say, which one are you mostly, and most of the time, but then if you do change, what is that one? And then I would say another one is, okay, here's another great one. And this is another one we did in grad school. If you are weather, what weather are you? Are you a storm? Are you a gentle breeze? Are you a light rain? Are you a tornado, a winter storm? You know, so if you think about weather and you think about your, you know, if we just say your temperament, what is your temperament with weather? And the reason why we use that in acting is because so many kids play angry. They love playing angry. Like when I do plays, young students love to yell, like, ah, la, 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 la. And I'm like, my gosh, you guys, I don't know the last person that yelled at me on the top of their lungs. I mean, people just don't do that. I mean, sorry, but I mean, tell me somebody that's just yelled that much in a day, that just yelled at the top of their lungs. It just doesn't happen. I mean, people use tone. I mean, I think we can all say that when people are mad, they're like, oh, really? You know, or, oh, aren't you great? You know, or, you know, I want you to get that done. You better get that done. You know, they have that tone. My daughter uses tone with me all the time. And I say, you're using tone with me. She's like, I don't know what tone is. I said, that's tone. So a lot of people, you know, they just don't know how they are, right? So they don't understand. And you guys, I think most of you as ASL interpreters or teachers, that you know that to know yourself is to know, you know, what I'm all about and who I am. And so I try to figure out who I am, and then I share that with my class. So if I say, man, sometimes I'm a gentle rain. And if you miss an assignment, man, the thunderclouds are moving in. And you know, so I can change as the weather as it goes on. And then we also sometimes have, I know this sounds crazy and you're going to be like, Mark, what are you doing to us? But like, kind of like an object, if you were to say, what man-made object am I, or an object? Like, one day I was in acting class and I told my teacher, I said, well, how do you feel today? And I said, well, I feel like a vacuum cleaner. He's like, okay, for the rest of the class, I want you to be a vacuum cleaner. And so I was like, okay. And so I didn't do it. And he's like, I want you to be a vacuum cleaner. So I was like, okay. I turned myself on. It's like, okay, that wasn't bad. And he said, no, why are you vacuum cleaner? I said, well, because I feel like I suck the energy out of the room, and I'm so loud, and I'm so noisy, and you know, sometimes I have a foul mouth and dirty. That was when I was younger, not now. Um, so so he was like looking at me going, "That's pretty good. I like that. Wow, that's really intense." So I think as actors we always have to like define ourselves first, because kind of like oh shoot, let me see if I can. Lisa, was that I got to find my friend. What was her name? Lisa, the one that has
Yes.
acting voice. Lisa, yes, thank you. I
Yes.
found you. Lisa, I was going to say the reason why is because like I tell my actors, you have to know yourself first, because I always tell them you can't play yourself on stage. You're not allowed to. And you can have little things of essences in there, but like, you know, just to share this with you, Lisa, because I don't know if you ever if this will help you or if you want to use this, but like my first day of acting class, actually my second day of acting class, I tell the students to come in with a story that was really sad for them, to tell me a story that was really tragic. And then the third class, I say come in with a story that made you very laugh really hard, and they have to do mock form. So the second day of class, I've got people talking about their grandpa died or someone died in their family or something terrible, and they're sharing it with the class on the second day of class, and these people don't even know each other, right? And on the third day, they're telling a funny story where something funny happened to them or a family member. And the reason why I do that in the first three class periods we meet, because I want us to become a family. I want us to share things that we don't know about each other. And it's amazing on Zoom, it's not the same, but like when we have class together on the second day of class and we do that dramatic monologue that's original that they write about an experience they had that's, you know, it's really sad. It's amazing that a stranger will get up out of their chair that doesn't even know their fellow classmate and go hug them when they're crying after the monologue. Or visit with them afterwards. And so what we're doing is we're creating community and we're creating ensemble. And I say to them, I say, listen, whatever's said in this room, it's ours and it doesn't go anywhere. And nobody's better. And I didn't tell you about the first day of class, what I do. I make them all write out their resume of all the shows they've been in. I said, take time, write your resume out. Write every show you've been in, everything you've done, every show you've been in, write it out. Take 10 minutes, take 15, take 20. Should I write when I was little and I was in middle school? Yes, write that down. Should I write when I was in high school? Yes, write that show down too. Should I write down my community theater? Yes, write down everything. I gather up all their resumes, all the things they've been in, and I simply rip it up in front of them. And I said, look, I throw it in the crash and I say, now we're all on the same page. It doesn't matter what you've done. We're all on the same level today. So no one's better than anybody. Just because you did 20 plays and this person did none, it doesn't matter. We're all together in this. We're all going to support each other. We're not going to ridicule each other. We're not going to judge each other. We're all going to be in this together. And then the second day we do the dramatic monologues. And then, yeah, they get so mad at me when I rip them up. Oh, I just wrote for 20 minutes. What are you doing ripping my resume? I said, I don't think you understand the exercise. No, I love what, and I would say, I love what you did. I love all the things that you did. I just wanted you to know that in this class, it doesn't matter, that we're all on the same page and we all have to help each other out and we're all on the same level. And that second day when we do the dramatic monologues and then the comic monologues, it is amazing after that third class that we're all look what happens in the third day class. We all know each other's names. A lot of them are leaving class together talking. A lot of them are exchanging numbers, emails, and by the end of the semester, those kids are crying because they're never going to see these people again. And so I always say to my wife, I wish I could teach this in every class at the college, because there's some science classes and English classes where those kids don't even get to know each other. They don't even know their names. They just come in, do this lesson, and then they leave, and they don't even know who that person next to them is. And if a teacher would just take one day one day to say, you know what, we're not going to learn anything today. We're just going to get to know each other. And then every 4 weeks, not teach and spend a day just personalizing everybody and saying, let's just spend a day for us and do it the next 4 weeks. And then after five days of doing that in a semester of 16 weeks, you'd have study groups, you'd have people that would help each other with struggling or mental health but we don't do that. We don't do that. And it just breaks my heart because my daughter takes classes at the college. She's like, I couldn't tell you the name of any of my students in my class. I'm like, oh, that breaks my heart. And I just get so mad because I'm like, oh, you should know your fellow student. You should know them. I'm not saying you have to be their friend or go out and have a coffee with them, but at least know their name and a little bit about what they're about. Even if you do introductions, you go, let's go around the room and do introductions, right? That to me, that's not enough because I'm not going to remember that name. I'm not, unless I write it down. So it's just a good lesson in acting that part of acting is studying people. And the second lesson of that is to know people and to know people and to not just know them, but to become one with them and be an ensemble with them. An ensemble is a powerful word. When you have a team working together for one specific purpose. I mean, even the guy in the class or the girl in the class that just doesn't want to get on board and they're just a problem. I've never had that in my 30 years because we've always picked that person up, listened to them and said, it doesn't matter. You're important. You can say whatever you want to. We're not going to single you out or, put you on this big thing. You're part of us. And I've had a lot of kids that were learning disability or Tourette's or ADHD or all sorts of different students and never treated them different, never always been part of the whole. And so the reason why I bring this up in acting is because, when you cast a play, the one thing I tell them, I said, look, you don't always have to be friends as cast members, but what you do have to do is we're going to be in the trenches when that play goes up. When performance nights goes up, you're going to have to trust your fellow actor. If you drop the ball, if you forget your line, that person's going to be in the trenches with you and they're going to have to pull you out and save the day because we don't make mistakes in theater when it comes to performance. I always tell them everything that happens on stage during a performance is we mean for that to happen. So never show your mistakes. If you say, hey, did you guys mean for that wall to fall down during Act 2? That was really weird. That light came down. Yes, that's part of the play. The wall falls down, the light comes down, and we're so surprised, almost like it's real, right? Yeah, that was in the script. That's a crazy moment, isn't it? How about that time where that girl was out on the stage and she seemed like she forgot her whole monologue? No, she didn't forget her monologue. She was just like very much reflecting about the moment that she was having in silence. Yes, it's amazing. And you thought she forgot her lines. She must have done her job then. If you really thought that pause was it for. Great. I mean, that's what we teach them. I mean, you can never show your mistakes. And so when you guys are interpreting, and I was telling Josiah was saying, oh, well, we've made mistakes. I don't know if anybody would ever tell that you made a mistake. Maybe you would, but I always say never show your mistakes. If something happens, you meant for that to happen. You can always talk about it afterwards, right? You can always talk about it when it's all over and you're like having a big glass of wine going, oh, let me tell you, 2 lines that I really messed up were this, and this. And that's what we as theater people do. We go, man, because I write all the things down. Like I give my cast, like a lot of Broadway directors, when the play opens, they don't take notes because they leave. They go to their next job. In education, I give them notes on performance and they can't stand it. Some of them, they're like, we're performing now. You shouldn't give us notes. No, because the show's always growing. So I give them notes on opening night. And they're like, you didn't like the show. I'm like, no, I love the show, but And I say it very positively, and I said, I think we can improve on these areas, but I don't want them to beat themselves up. And I want them to celebrate what they did right first. And that's the most important, is to celebrate what you did right. Don't never. I mean, and I have to tell you, the things that I tell them, it's on Facebook in a group page, and it's just, hey, an idea for you. But I never say, oh, you messed that up or you did that. Because as we said, you need to celebrate your victories all the time, no matter what. I don't care if you came on stage and forgot all your lines. That's a victory. You got on stage. So that was my next thing I wanted to say. And then I'll open it up to you guys. I don't think people realize how hard it is to be in front of an audience, because it is people watching us. And there is a sense of, oh my gosh, I'm in front of somebody, and the vulnerability is crazy. And I'm 53, going to be 54 in May. And I always tell my class, there's nothing that can happen to me anymore. I mean, I can embarrass myself to death and nothing would happen. I've been through everything. I've been through every possible situation that could happen. But I give anybody that gets in front of an audience, no matter what it is, musician, artist, whatever, interpreter, actor, there's a sense of victory there, and you can never forget that, because not everybody can do what you do. They'll say they can do that. Oh, I can do that. Like after a play, they go, oh, that acting, I can do that. Or we do an improv show. My wife does improv comedy. If you ever watch Whose Line Is It Anyway? And if you ever, she teaches improv. And we always, people laugh and they have a really good time. And then we'll have some guy come up and he's like, oh, I can do that. That's easy. And I'm the first one to say, oh, good. Guess what? You can join our class tomorrow. What? Yeah, come on in. You don't even have to enroll. Here's the time. It's at 1:00, and I'll see you then. Okay. And guess what? You're going to play the first game. I wasn't serious. I'm like, no. You can do this. You said it was easy. Come on, let's go do it. And he showed up, and he did. And he became part of the troupe, which is crazy. Yeah, he showed up. It was great. And he was like, man, it's much harder than I thought. And I said, yeah, it is. And I wasn't trying to put him on the spot or nothing, but you guys, as we get only 30 minutes left, do you guys have any questions or thoughts so far of what we went over? Anything you want to share? Because I talk so much, and I love what you guys said. I love listening to you, and I love some of what Amy said, and am I saying it right? Lisa and some other people. But anything else that you guys want to say that we've talked about before I move on?
Hey, Mark, this is Charlotte. I wanted to mention, in this field, sometimes we as interpreters are not kind to each other. And sometimes our personalities clash.
Yes.
Your words of wisdom here are just, they're empowering. And I'm really excited because I see some potential of things that I can do to make a difference, the attitudes that I can change.
Yeah.
I'm having a hard time hearing me.
Yeah, you sound far away, but I can hear you still. I just got to focus.
But anyway, I want to say thank you, because this is something that professionally we can all take to heart, and we can work on and improve on, and find tidbits of ways to alter our behaviors to where we're more supportive and loving than we are competitive.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that, Charlotte. I make it a rule every day that I give 3 people a compliment every day. I make it I have a list. I say, give 3 people a compliment every day. Even somebody that has the same job as me, that is in the same, if I find that they have made me mad or something happened, first thing I do is I think of something that you love about them, and then I give them that compliment, because I don't want to conflict in personality. Well, we're going to get into the here, but conflict in personality is always a possibility for you when you're working with others in the same area. Can you guys still hear me? Okay. But the first thing I do, and I'm not trying to say that I'm perfect. I have problems, right? But I really try to, when I go to work, is give 3 people a compliment. I give my first person I give a compliment to is my admin that works for us, that does all of our secretarial work. And I always start my day going, hey, I say, hey, how you doing? Hey, thanks for all you did yesterday for us. And she's like, oh, you're welcome. And then during the day, I usually walk around TCC, and if I see a maintenance person that's cleaning, I always tell them thank you for cleaning the building. And then I try to at night um, thank the police officer that's protecting us at the campus. And so I try to find 3 people that has nothing to do with me, because I think if I tell them they're doing a good job, that somebody's not telling them, and they don't feel they don't feel worth anything. And I could tell when I say that to them, they're like, "Oh, thank you." And the surprise, I've never heard that before, makes me really sad. So if I say to them, "Hey, thanks for protecting the campus. I really appreciate you." And sometimes it's, "Oh, no problem. Great." And sometimes it's a big shock, like, "Oh, that's my job. Thank you." Or, just somebody that I'm not attached to. But Charlotte, I love what you said. Um, there's the hardest part about theater is the ego, and it's about competition, because actors go into an audition and they both want the same role. But there's also a lot of ego in the arts for administration and acting, and somebody telling you that your show's not very good, or they didn't like your writing or actors for the show. And the way I handle that, and they might tell you, "Oh, I didn't like your interpretation. I didn't like what you were doing." And what I do with that is, first of all, um, I never do something for somebody else. Do something in life for somebody else to get a compliment. You're going to be very disappointed. If you're looking for a compliment from somebody else for something that you do, and you're like, "Oh, I'm going to do this for my dean, and my dean's going to tell me how great I am," and that's just not going to work. I do things for two things. I do things for my students, and I do things for that's not to say I'm a selfish person and I don't do things for other people. It's just that if you have high expectations, like you give yourself that victory of when you're done at the end of the day, like Callista, I hope she tells herself at the end of the day, at the end of this workshop, 8 o'clock, that she did a fantastic job. She's like, man, I was really moving it. I was really expressive. Because if she's doing it for everybody else in the room, going, I want people to know how good I am by doing this. And to like, hey, Lista, she might say, God, nobody even said anything to me. And she's really disappointed. I have to tell actors that, because actors go, oh my God, after the show, I'm going to go out to the meet, greet, and street. The meet, greet, and street is after a show, they go meet the audience, they greet the audience, and then they street the audience. They street them by they leave, right? So it's called meet, greet, and street. So after the show, the actors get out of costumes, they go out to the lobby, and they go, hey, and they're waiting for that. How was I? Was that good? And I was like, and they go out there, and I mean, look, their mom and dad are the first ones to come up to them and say, you did great, because a child could poop on the stage and the parents would love that poop because it's the kid's poop. They love their child, right? And it doesn't matter how bad the performance is, it's their child. They're going to love it. It doesn't matter. And so that's always going to be there for them, right? And I don't mean to be disrespectful by saying that, but that's true. Anybody else that comes up to them, that's a plus. Oh, you were so good. You so great. Well, I had always had kids come back from Meet Green Street, and they're like, they didn't say anything. They didn't say they liked the show or anything. And I said, well, that's okay. Just because they don't say anything doesn't mean that you did a good job, right? But a lot of times they will get that praise and they will say, oh, you did a great job. I always tell my little children, summer theater kids, to take a little notepad out there and make people give them their autographs. If they're 5 or 6 years old, they give autographs, and they love that, right? But the thing I was going to talk about with ego is that I think that I don't know. I just think that giving someone credit sometimes is a good thing, no matter where you go and no matter what you see. So I had a college student, real quick, if I could share this story with you. They went back to their high school and they had spent 2 years at our college and they learned a lot about acting. And they went back to their high school and they're like, oh, I just told that high school how terrible their show was and that they needed to work on Stanislavski, Strasberg, and Meisner, and they need to work on tempo rhythms. And I'm like, no, why did you do that? And I said, you're their hero. You're coming back to the high school and they love you. You're like the champion. You left and, I said, what happened when you got back? Everybody surrounded me. And I said, then you watched their show and then you said that it wasn't good. And I said, you just need to you need to build them up, because sometimes the ego is just really, really wondering if it's doing the right thing. And so they went back to the high school and told them that their show was really good. But I just think that it's competition is hard. And I think for all of us, if I get mad at someone, I have to check myself and ask myself, is it my ego? That's the first thing. If I get mad at somebody, I like at work, I'm not at work or in performance. If I get mad at my designer, I'm like, why am I mad? So let's look at it. Mark got mad at his designer because, and I never show that anger. I'm just mad internally, right? So I get mad and I go, why am I mad? And I think I'm mad because, I'm going to use this as an example. This doesn't happen, but I said, hey, I loved your set, but he didn't come back and say, I loved your direction, right? I said, hey, I loved your set design. He didn't come back and say, I loved your direction. So I gave him a compliment, but he didn't give me one back. And so I'm mad about that. And why is it so important for me to get that back? Because I gave him one. And that's where I said that I tell actors expectation is very dangerous, because no matter what happens in your life, I tell my actors, love what you do. And that's all that you need to know is love what you do and be happy with what you did. Even if it's not what you think it is, love what you do. But if you want someone else to give you that compliment, be careful, because it may not come. And then if you get mad about it, then you're really dealing with your own ego. And so ego's tough. I have Callista and Josiah trying out for the same role, and I cast Josiah, not Callista.
Of course.
And Callista comes to my office and she said, why didn't you cast me, Mark? You cast Josiah, you didn't cast me. And I have to tell them, I didn't cast you because Josiah just auditioned better. And then they go farther and say, well, how did he audition better? And I said, well, audition better by the character was better, they spoke better, and then give them options. And that's tough for an actor to hear, because what that actor's going to do now is go back, comprehend all that stuff, all those notes I gave them, and then go back to another audition. They have to pick themselves off the floor, dust themselves off, and then they have to try it again. So that's my little thing about ego. I think it's tough. I don't know if you guys ever have those issues.
Definitely.
Mark?
And, let me say real quick, yes, I think interpreters can absolutely relate to ego, with the potential of ego getting in the way of work performance or of working well with others, even at times. Sometimes, or oftentimes, interpreters work in teams, like our interpreters this evening. And so, yeah, ego can be a main component, really important part of working with somebody else, collaborating, not stealing the show, not trying to do things for attention, not trying to do something to harm your team or anything like that. So I think that's definitely relevant. Mark, I wanted to kind of throw a little bit of a curveball at you, but I know that you're very spry and improvisationally skilled. So I think this is going to be easy for you. Do you mind if I throw something at you?
No, please go ahead.
So I saw you do an activity recently in one of your courses. And I wanted to ask you to lead this activity here tonight,
yes,
because I think it would be particularly helpful. And I wanted to preface it with a couple of things to think about while Mark leads us in somebody in this activity, which I'm ready, by the way, if you want to use me. But this activity, I think, will be really helpful for a couple things. So one, earlier we were talking about visualization, imagination, and really how you can try to kind of get yourself into a different place through your brain, through your head, right?
Yes. Yes.
And that's a really powerful thing that I think as interpreters, if we can do effectively, there's times when it could be really beneficial to our interpreting work. But the other thing is being able to even detach our minds easily and quickly from a thing. So this is getting a little bit higher end kind of neurological conversation here. But, you know, when we're interpreting, we are taking information that is formed in one way, and we're attempting to take that information and put it into a different form. So that hopefully the same information, but a different packaging, a different form. And part of that process involves letting go of the original form, whether it's English or American Sign Language, and then basically structuring a secondary form, but trying to maintain that same meaning. So this is going to make more sense when you hear the description of the exercise, how this is all relevant. But Mark, the exercise where you hold up objects, right, in front of the camera, and you state,
oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
do you mind?
Actually, no, I was actually going to do that one. Actually, that's great that you're doing. So this is,
You didn't even
this is,
plan this, I swear.
no, this is great. So this is very focused and concentration. So what if you have, and everyone can do it. I mean, we can have a couple people do it, but you want to find like 7 to 10 objects. They can be like a phone. It can be like a roll of tape, a pen, scissors, whatever you have. If you can find like just 7 objects, okay, 7 or 8 objects, just find them, put them in front of you. And yeah, well, and I was telling, I think Kylie was doing it in our class, and she actually did a really good job. But what this exercise is to basically pick up the object and name it what it's not. Okay, so you can't say, like, it can't look like anything that it could be. Like, this can't be a wheel because it could look like a wheel. It can't be a telescope. It can't be anything that it could look like. So it's got to be something totally different than what it is. Okay, so this could be a shoe. This is a shoe. Now, you can't have relationships with objects that you name in so you can't say like, this is a couch, this is a chair, this is a stool, because couch, chair, and stool are all in relationship of furniture. Okay, so they have to be separate in a relationship. They got to be different. So what I'm going to ask you to do is one of you brave souls is going to take your objects, and you're going to say, as fast as you can, as fast as you possibly can, hold the object up and say, this is a, 8 times, and tell me what the object is not. And no relationship, and it can't look B. Okay, as fast as you possibly can. Okay, and
I'll
this is a
demo,
good thing
Mark,
for
'cause
focus and concentration. Yes.
Whenever you're ready, I can demo the first round because I have my items already selected.
Okay, Ellie, can you demo it? Yeah, that'd be great, Josiah. You demo it. Okay, ready, Joe?
Ready.
Okay, and on your marks, get set, go.
This is a shoe. See, wow, that was hard. Okay. This is a blow dryer. This is an antenna. This is an egg. This is a book. This is a rocket ship. This is a ball of thread. This is a vacuum cleaner. That's all I have.
Yay! Awesome.
That was hard though.
Wow.
That was harder than I thought. And I even had seen somebody do this before. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna fly through that thing. And I was like, the very first one.
Well,
this is
yeah. So when we do it in acting class or improv class, we always get mad at me when I say this. But if you say you're disqualified. And if you don't go, if if you take any type of pause, so it's got to be like this is a 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 as fast as you human. I've never seen anybody but my wife do 10 objects, but she's been doing it for years. But Kylie and Kylie, who I thought did excellent, a student of mine in acting class, but I really was really impressed. Wow. Okay. They're like, no
Mark, we're
way.
Mark, just so you know, your audio's coming through just a little bit choppy.
Oh.
We're losing
Oh.
words a little bit here and there.
Yes, no, test one.
In front of me, but my sound isn't working. Can I hold up the object and somebody else say what it is?
That's a twist.
Yeah. Let me make sure my sound is here. Who is that?
Charlotte.
Yeah, Charlie, where are you at? You want to try it?
I'll hold it up, but because my sound isn't working, why doesn't somebody else see my voice?
You can do it. We can hear you, Charlotte. You
We
do
can hear
it.
you. Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, ready?
Yep.
This is a toilet paper roll. This is a Q-tip. This is a shoe. This is a thumb drive. This is a handle. This is a toothpick. This is a scissors. This is a cotton swab. I mean, a cotton ball.
Wow, great job. Wow. Who's next? Okay, Haley?
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Okay, this is a car. This is a cat. This is luggage. This is sassafras. This is the moon. This is a cantaloupe. And this is the boogeyman.
Oh,
Ooh,
nice job. Wow, you're good, Haley.
that was great.
Wow, that was really
And
good.
cool fanny pack.
Yeah. Anybody else want to try it? Don't be afraid. It's fun. Stephanie, did you put your little finger up? Is that yes? Or what? Who's anybody else? Oh, okay, Whitman.
I
forget
didn't
your
know I
first name,
did,
sorry.
but yeah, she's got her hand raised, so she can gladly go.
Okay. You ready? Okay.
Okay, yeah, and my name is Darlene. It's not there,
Darlene,
but
so, yeah.
but I am.
Darlene.
Okay. I can do this. This is a door. This is a doorknob. This is a piece of pastrami. This is a piece of bread. This is my cat. This is my car. And this is an elephant.
Woo!
Nice job. Okay, Stephanie, you're next.
I have 6 things.
Okay.
Is that all right?
Yes.
Okay. Are you ready? I'm
Yes.
like secretly thinking of all these things in my head and they're going to all fall out. This is a house. This is my dog. This is a book. This is a lobster. This is a window. And this is a lamp.
Woo!
Okay, for homework, you guys, I want you to do 10 objects as fast as you can. No relationship. They can't be like each other. Hey, can I do one more exercise before we go, Josiah?
Yes,
Is it
sir.
okay?
Yes, sir. We have about 5 and then I'll do
Okay.
the information. Yeah.
Can I use Stephanie again? Stephanie, will you do an exercise with me?
Sure.
Okay, Stephanie, here's the deal. So I want you to, where are you at? Are you in your room? I gotta find where you are here. Let me see. Are you in your room?
I'm
Are you
in
what
a
room are you in?
room.
Is it a front room or is it a?
I'm waving at you.
Okay.
I have on a Friends
Okay. So there you
t-shirt.
are. I got you. So here's what you're gonna do. You have lost. Do you have do you have any rings on your fingers?
I have a watch on.
What's the most important thing that you own that's small? What is the most? If you lost it, you'd be real crazy.
My phone.
Okay.
Smaller than that.
No, that's fine.
Everyone
So-
nodded like yes. My
Yeah,
phone.
your phone. No, that's a good point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you look. Your phone is going to be lost. Now, in reality, your phone is not lost, right?
Okay.
But I want you to look for your phone in that room, and you have to find it like within a minute. And you have to find it. It's like it is so urgent, and there's so many stakes involved that if you don't find your
Okay.
phone, it's not a good situation. So I want you to go and look for your phone for a minute.
Like
Search
Acting.
search everywhere. We're gonna watch you.
oh
Yeah.
god.
Okay.
Like I shouldn't have said sure so excitedly.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm kicking stuff. Y'all, I put on pajama pants before this started. Oh my gosh. Can I ping it from my watch?
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right, come back, Stephanie. Come back.
Ooh,
Okay.
that was awesome.
That was great. That was great. You just did a Stanislavski exercise. But let me tell you why you did it, and you tell me about some things.
Okay.
First of all, did you believe when I said now you threw your phone over your shoulder?
Yeah.
You knew where your phone was.
Yeah.
I said you lost your phone. Did you believe your phone was lost?
I mean, once I started looking for it, yes.
What were you thinking about when you were looking for it?
Where was the last time I had it?
Yes, that's great. And where did you look? Where did you go and look for it first?
I looked for it all over the desk first because it was just right here with me.
Okay. Is that where you would have looked if you would have really lost your phone?
Yeah, I would have like all
Okay.
around me first. Yes.
Okay. And did you go back in that search and go back to a place you already searched?
Yes.
Okay, because we do that. So in this exercise, I guess the question is did you really believe that your phone was lost?
Yes.
Okay. And how did you feel?
A little hot. It's a little hot in here.
Yeah. Absolutely. So what we do is this is an exercise based on sense memory. Like you've lost something before,
Yeah,
and you're
I
going.
get hot.
Yeah, you get, and so you gotta. So next time you really lose something, like for real, I want you to think about this exercise
Okay.
and see if those things that happen to you in real life happen to you in this exercise are the same. Because if they're not, this is how we train actors. So if we said, usually what happens is in acting class, I have a $5 bill. And I say, if you can find this $5 bill in this room, you can keep it. And so they leave the theater and I hide the $5 bill, but I don't really hide it. I have it. And so I make them search for it. Okay. And I said, you guys can search for it as long as you want to, and they'll tear the place apart. And then I say, oh, I had the $5 bill all along. Now go outside and I'll hide it this time. And they come back in and I still have the $5 bill. So now they think I really hid it and they'll search for it, right? And then after a while, they'll go, you still have it, don't you? And I said, yes. I send them out again a third time. This time I hide it for real. And I come in and they say, now search for that $5 bill.
And they don't believe you.
They don't believe me and they don't search as much as they should. In fact, they go back and they're just half, looking at things. And then I find it and they're like really disappointed. So it's easy it's harder to do it. If you don't know, it's easy, but if you do know, it's harder. You have to believe in the unbelievable when you play a character. You might know that your character dies at the end, but you have to believe that there's still a chance they might live, even though you as the actor might know they're going to die.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So is there any questions? I got 5 minutes left, don't I, Josiah? I don't know if I should open up to
A couple
questions.
things to mention at the end, but
Yeah.
If
Anything, you guys, any questions about anything I went over today? I didn't get through everything. So if Josiah wants me back, I'll be happy to come back and do this again. But is there anything that I went over that you have questions about, or anything that you wondered about?
I do have a question, if you don't
Yeah.
mind.
Sure.
So I love this whole, like, what do I lead with? What's my, internal, and then changing that to match a different character. So what is, like, when you're typecasted for something based on, the fact that you are whatever. So I was called to interpret the Legally Blonde musical very last minute. And I walked in knowing that I would be the one that had to do all of the Elle Wood stuff. Like, I get that, but at what point can you change that based on, your ability to be a different person?
Well, I mean, I always tell actors if they're going to be afraid to be typecast is to change the way they look when they walk into the audition. Like, like right now with your hair down, I can see the same thing that person did, that you kind of look like that girl, right? But if you put your hair in a bun, or I'm not telling you to go to extreme, but you could dye your hair black. That's the extreme, right? You're like, no, I'm not doing that, Mark.
Right.
Wear glasses, dress differently. I always say dress against yourself with typecast, and really dress against what you look like, and then go into that, because then you're not worried about them thinking, oh, she's Sandy from Grease because she looks like Sandy, but I want to be Rizzo. So you walk in looking more like Rizzo.
Okay.
And
That's
in
what I would
theater,
do.
anybody who, and it sounds like we have several people who have theater experience, of course, just a pretty standard approach is to pair gender. I mean, that's pretty standard for interpreting when you have the ability to do so. It's not always the case. Sometimes you have two interpreters and they're playing multiple other characters, but usually main characters, right? It's like, based on male, female genders. But that's a great question, Stephanie. I love that. And we have just a few minutes left, and there may be more people with questions, but I want to be respectful of everybody's time who joined this evening. And I just have a couple of things to mention at the end. So first of all, I want to once again thank Mark for presenting this evening, totally pro bono, and spending time with us. Hugely generous, and so thankful for this evening. And I just had fun. I mean, I enjoyed it. So I hope you all did too. I want to thank our interpreters again, Dresden and Callista, interpreting totally pro bono tonight, just for this beautiful donation that we're going to make to TSHA. It looks like Mark's sharing his contact information, so that's awesome. Feel free to reach out to Mark. So just keep an eye out. Just right after this workshop, you'll get an email, and the email will have links to the two forms. So just keep that in mind. The CEU form, if you're wanting to earn CEUs, and then the evaluation form to leave your feedback for the workshop. With the CEUs, if you don't mind, just do them as soon as you can. I submit them within 7 days for processing, but of course, sooner the better, just to have it done. And I hope you all had a great time. I did too. Don't go anywhere just yet. I'll be right back.
Yeah, you guys can contact me anytime if you ever want exercises or information about where I get stuff from, books and stuff that I use, or anything that you need. I'm at your disposal. You can email me or call me. I'm very easy to contact if you need anything. I'd be happy to help anyone.
So generous, Mark. Thank you so much. Hey, everybody. Thanks for coming out this evening. Have a great rest of your evening. Sleep well. Much love to everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.